The NCR, you do the number first, type in the number first on the calculator, and then do math probability down to NCR. Hit enter, and then put in the R, what number you have for your that you're choosing.
So now I will see have everything there. Yeah. Yeah. And then you're gonna want to do L1 and L1. L1 comma? Yes. Perfect. So now your standard deviations, which one? Remember what the symbol is for standard deviation? Yes. Good job.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'll give you folks a little bit of time as we need to, as we kind of go through everything. So, again, today we're reviewing 5.3. We're going to finish up 5.3 today, and then we need to do 6.1 and 6.2 today so that you have almost everything you need for the exam. Because the exam, your first chance to take the exam is going to be a week from today. So I want to make sure that those people who want to take it a week from today, so they can have the day after Halloween off, that they have almost everything they need for the exam. Just do a couple things left for section 6.3. Due today you have 5.3, 5.2, Connect Math is due today, and also your exam wrapper. We did parts 1 and 2 in class, so you need to make sure you get that part uploaded today. Sunday, Connect Math 5.3 is due, which is the stuff on your quiz right now. And then Tuesday, Connect Math 6.1 will be due. Thursday, Connect Math 6.2 is due. However, that's also the same day as your exam. So ideally, it'd be great if you could do that before Thursday if you're taking the exam on Thursday, so that you have some practice in before you take the exam. Please note, everyone look up, please note that for Connect Math 6.2 and 6.3, use 2 decimal places for all of your z-scores. So not just at the end, but anywhere along the problem, just make sure all your z-scores have 2 decimal places, and your areas, your probabilities have 4 decimal places. Otherwise, you will get the wrong number. If you put in a z-score, into the program, and you give it 3 decimal places, it's going to mark it wrong, and you're not going to know why. Right? And you'll be banging your head against the wall. So don't do that. Instead, make sure that you make a note to round all of your z-scores to 2 decimal places on your homework for 6.2 and 6.3, so you can avoid that nightmare. And then Sunday will be Connect Math 6.3. The exam will be either October 28th or November 1st, your choice, and you can take it at any of the times, any of these following times. You can take it at 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, or 7:30. So you can take it either on, so Thursday, October 28th, that is our official time to take it. Dohowever, if you feel like you want more time to study, then you can come on the 28th, and Andrea is going to be doing some review session stuff over there on the other side in that room. And people here will be taking the exam. And then you can take the exam on November 1st, which is a Monday, the Monday after Halloween. If you decide that you want to party all weekend and not even be conscious all day Monday, November 1st, then you can take the exam on the 28th. Either one is fine. Everybody okay with this part? Good? Okay, questions?
Will there be a review for those interested in taking the test on Thursday?
Yeah, so what's going to happen is this. We're going to take the Monday, I'm going to teach everybody 6.3, and we're going to review all the stuff we learned today. And then Tuesday, I'm going to review for the exam altogether. Does Does that sort of make sense? I'm going to review everything we've covered.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your questions? Okay.
Yes, thanks.
Victoria?
Yeah, she's still doing 3 hours.
Right, so Victoria, let's see. So Veronica, okay, so Tuesdays we'll have a regular review session. Wednesdays, we don't have class, but Veronica, the short blonde tutor, she has in-person hours from 2:15 to 5 o'clock, which is a little bit early for you folks. But if you can get in there before 5 o'clock, you could, you do some studying with her. Or you might be able to wangle and say, hey, what if you stay after and try to get her to do an hour outside after her regular drop-in hours from 5 to 6, possibly. You could try that. Does that make sense for folks?
Yeah.
So if you wanted another hour on Wednesday, you could possibly do that. Good. Oh, and then also, Andrea, our tutor who's here today, who's just in the other room helping somebody, she is online on Wednesday, so if you only want to come in and you want to study, Andrea's available online for drop-in hours on Wednesdays from 1 to 5, I think. We'll have her confirm when she comes out. But those are all good options if you want more time on Wednesday to review with people. Okay. On the exam, there'll be 2 parts of the exam. The first part will be a no fancy calculator part. You need a basic calculator only. So TI 30 or something like that, something lower. And you have to show your work. So just a basic calculator that can add, subtract, multiply, and divide. That's it. Good? The second part, then you can use it. You can pull out your TI 83 or 84 out for that part. So you will need a TI 83 or 84 calculator for the second part of the exam. Who needs a basic calculator? Who does not have a basic calculator? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got that. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I can cover that. Who needs a TI 83 or 84 calculator for the exam? Hi, so I can count them. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I can cover that too. No problem. Okay, good. Perfect. It does not cover 6.4, so 6.3 and below. That's what's going to be on the exam. And then also, as always, you're allowed 1/2 page, one-sided of handwritten notes, handwritten by you. No fair photocopying. Yeah.
Are you going to provide the formulas and tests, or do they have to?
Nope. If you want them, you need to write them.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I'm giving you a 1/2 page, right? So, you should be able to write your own formulas. That's my argument. If I didn't allow notes, then I would give those formulas to you. Yeah. And again, if you have a 1/2 page, if you use a 1/2 page for your exam 1 notes, you can use the lower half of your exam 2 notes. I can tell the difference between, as I look through, I'll know that, I can see that, oh yeah, that's exam 1 material. I know that, so that's no problem. All good. Okay, great. Oh, Andrea, Wednesdays, drop-in hours for you are when to when? 1 to 5. Perfect. So if you don't want to come in on Wednesday at all, and you want some time to study or ask questions, you can pop in, and hit her up in her drop-in hours between 1 and 5. Great. Please note that if you are using one of the free apps on your phone, which you cannot use on the exam, but for your phone, for homeworks and other things, the Calculate 84 app for the iPhone does have an error or a bug. I mean, it's free, so you gotta kind of roll with it, right? But for your frequency distribution, like the problem 1 that you folks have on your quiz, you can't use decimals for your frequencies. You have to use whole numbers. So if you're on the quiz, right, the probability would be 0.133. You'd have to put 133. Just, make them all whole numbers, and then it works fine after. All right. All right. So you might have heard that next Thursday is a flex day. It is a flex day for the 2 o'clock class only, not our class. But again, you have the option of taking the exam that day, or you can take that day off if you want and take the exam. So if you want to have next Thursday off and not show up at all, you can totally do that. And just come and take the class on Monday. If you want to come on Thursday and review, then you can come and review, and Andrea will be next door doing a review session in there. So those of you who want to take the exam on Monday, November 1st, you've got two different options for Thursday. Either don't come at all and just relax, or come and do some review over there. Correct. All right. So everybody good with all their options for the exam coming up? Yeah.
Yeah. So if you take it on the 28th, then you don't have to do the class.
Right. So if you take it on 28th, do not come on the 1st, on November 1st. Do whatever you want on November 1st. The other thing is, you can take it anytime you want. So if you want to take it at 7:30, you can take it at 7:30. If you want to take it at 2 o'clock, you can take it at 2 o'clock. Everybody on board? Yeah. Either of those days, any one of those 3 times. 2, 5, or 7:30. If you're taking it at a different time than your class, they'll say, hey folks, if you're taking it at a different time as your class, if below your name on the exam, if you can write down your class time, then I can make sure that you get sorted into the right pile. Yeah.
So for like the different times, does that apply to both the 28th and the 1st? Or
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yep. Come any of those times on either of those days. Doesn't matter.
Wait, but I thought October 28th was Flex Day.
So October 28th is Wednesday?
Flex Day.
Flex Day, yes.
Oh.
Yep. But here's the thing. It's Flex Day, but it's video. So I'll be stuck in a meeting on Zoom. But I'm perfectly capable of handing out an exam to you folks and proctoring an exam while that's happening. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Right? That's easy to do. So yeah. All right, do not forget to do your exam wrappers, right? These 3 questions. How'd you prepare for the exam? What kinds of errors did you make on the exam? And what would you do differently next time? Do not forget to do that. That's due today. All right, moving on. Quiz problem. This is quiz problem number 1. Remember, the mean, to find the mean, I simply multiply every value by probability and add them up. But for the standard deviation, that's a lot more complicated. So I'm allowing you just to use lists and stat calc 1-bar stacks to find the standard deviation. In fact, I might just take that off the exam and not have that at all. I think that'd be easier. But I'll go over it anyways. Just in case I forget to go over it, I might make an extra credit, possibly.
Yeah.
All right, so this is how we do it. Turn on your calculator and go to Stat, Edit to get your lists, and then type them into your lists. So list 1, your x's need to be in list 1. Your probabilities or your frequencies need to be in list 2. If you have if you have a fancy calculator, well, all right. So once you have to type it in list 1 and list 2, then you're going to go to Stat, Calc, 1-bar stacks. It's still one variable because it's x and the probability x. It's not a y, it's a probability of x. So it's still just one variable. It's a variable and its frequencies. So if you have a basic calculator, your standard 83 or 84, you'll get this. If you have fancy 84, you might get where it says list and frequency list. If you get that, you put, for list, you put L1. For frequency list, you put L2. If you get this, the way you enter them is L1, and then to get your frequency list, you put comma L2. If you don't put the comma, then it's just going to average 0, 1, 2, and 3, and that's not what you want. You want to take into consideration the fact that some are more frequent than other ones. So you want L1, comma L2. How do you get the L1? It's this little blue number right here, or it might be yellow on yours. How do you get that? It's blue, you hit the blue key, the second key. So second, and then 1 gives you this one here. Right, so the very top left key is the same color as this one here. So they're going to be yellow or blue depending on which calculator you have. So if I want L1, I'm going to hit the second key and 1. Then L1 comes up here. And then comma, which is above the 7, right here. Here's the comma. And I want L2, which is right here in blue. So I hit second 2, which gives me L2. Again, if you have the fancy calculator, you'll put L1 under your list and L2 under your frequency. And then you'll see, oh, there's my mean, 1.47, and then there's my X bar, or sorry, my X bar, is 1.47, and then my sigma is 0.86666, so 0.867. So why is it sigma and not S? Anytime we're talking about probabilities, we're talking about theoreticals. So it's going to be, technically it's going to be mu and sigma. All right, so my sigma is 0.867. Make sure you round correctly. So this goes in list 1, this goes in list 2, and then we're going to do stat, count, 1 var stats of L1, comma, L2. That's how you get there. Okay. Yes?
When I put the comma, it says like syntax error.
Okay. I'll show. We'll go over that in a minute then. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Oh, if you get an error, sometimes it might be that your lists are not the same length. You will very commonly get, if your lists are not the same length, you'll definitely get a syntax error. That's one very common happening. Okay. Next we have the binomial distribution. Right, Ryan, I'll deal with that in just like 5 minutes. Okay, so binomial distribution. There are 4 things you need for a binomial distribution. Really, 3 and 4 are the same thing. So, so we'll take a look. Are people all having issues with that first one? So we want to take a minute. Does people really need a minute to kind of go through that problem number 1? Yes, no?
No.
Okay, we'll take a minute. Yeah, we'll take a minute. That's fine. Binomial distribution. 4 things about it. 3 and 4 are really the same thing. The thing about the binomial is figuring out that it's a binomial. So how do you figure out it's a binomial? What's up with it is binomial 2, right? Means it has 2 possible outcomes. So you got to think about something that happens over and over again with 2 possible outcomes. So like you're flipping a coin over and over again, or you're rolling a dice over and over again, or you're selecting people and you're asking them a yes/no question like, do you have a dog or not? Do you have brown hair or not? Are you enrolled in math or not? Right? A yes/no question. So that's the first part. You're doing something over and over again, like selecting people, rolling dice, sampling something, and there's only 2 possible outcomes. The other thing that has to happen is number 1, a fixed number of trials. So in other words, you know ahead of time when you're going to stop. You're only going to flip a coin 10 times, or roll a dice 6 times, or draw 8 marbles, or sample 12 people. Right? You know before you start how many you're going to do, how many you're going to sample. And then 3 and 4, they kind of go together. The probability of each trial has to stay the same. So every time you flip a coin, its probability stays the same. It's 1/2. Every time you roll it, or you ask a person, you pick a person, the probability that they own a dog should stay the same, right? So that's the 3 and 4 part. All right, so here is some notation, which you should have down already in your chapter 5 notes. If not, make sure you have that in there. But just as a reminder, here it is. Rachel, do you want to read for us?
N denotes the fixed number of trials. X denotes a specific number of successes in N trials, so X can be any whole number between 0 and N inclusive. P
Little
denotes,
p.
little p denotes the probability of success in one of the N trials. Q,
Little q.
little q denotes the probability of failure in one of the N trials. And the probability of X denotes the probability of getting exactly X successes among the N trials.
Great. So a couple things to note about here. Little p and little n, those are fixed out in the world before your experiment came along. Little p and little n are kind of universal, right? They're already there. So, for example, the probability of flipping a coin and getting heads, that has nothing to do with my n or my x or my experiment. The probability that that someone has heard of Twitter, the probability that someone owns a dog, whatever these things, those are probabilities that are already out there. Right? I think last class it was probability that a teenager has a part-time job. Those are probabilities that are out there in the world already. They have nothing to do with our problem at all. They have nothing to do with our n or our x. Good? So little p and little q, nothing to do with our n or our x. Probability of x, the big P, that does relate directly, depend directly upon n and x. That one does. But the little p, that's already there. And so make sure everyone's clear on that part because that will mess you up significantly otherwise. What is the binomial formula? Well, first you find the probability of getting that many successes and that many failures. So you take the probability of a success raised to, you multiply by itself the number of times you have successes, times the probability of failure, multiplied by however many failures you want to have. And then, so that gives you the probability of just one outcome, if you kind of do a tree, of having that many successes and failures. Then you multiply that by how many tree branches end up with that outcome, that many successes and that many failures. So that's n choose x. Right? It tells you, in other words, how many ways can I have 6 people and randomly choose 4 of them to be successes, or whatever your n and x are. So that's where that formula comes from. We went over it last class. If we look at it, it's probably getting success the first X trials and then failure the rest of them, basically. Multiplied by how many ways there are of getting that many, the number of ways of arranging that many successes and failures. Okay, so quiz problem number 2. Again, the formula is already written in for you. So this is n choose x times little p to the x times little q to the n minus x. So the first one would be 7 choose 2 times my little p is 0.11. If my little p is 0.11, what's my little q? Yep, 1 minus 0.11, 0.89. So little p to the x to the second times little q 0.89 to the, well, if I have 2 successes out of 7, that means I have how many failures? 5. Okay, so if you have not finished problem 2 and 3, I'm going to give you folks just 1 minute to finish up those. So let me show you folks real quick how to find C. So I'm going to do 7 choose 2. Turn your calculator on. So 7 choose 2. First, type the 7 into your calculator. Then I need to choose. So 7, math, go over to probability, go down to NCR. Hit enter. Now I have the 7 choose. 7 choose what? 7 choose 2. So put the 7 in first, then get this, then type in the 2, and that will give you that number there. And then I'm going to do what times 0.11 raised to the, so the raised to is this little caret, this little arrow up above the divide sign. Raised to the second times 0.89 raised to the fifth. Bam, there you have it. 0.1419. All right, so let's take a look at B. B is 10 choose 6 times 0.4 to the 6th, and then 1 minus 0.4 is 0.6, right? So Q is 0.6 times 0.6 to the, well, if I have 6 successes, that means I have 4 failures. And if you do this, you get what? 1114?
Thank you.
4?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That was a good
Oh, would it be 5?
I think 0.1115 because it's 4-7.
Ah, yeah. No, you will leave it at 111. I think I'm okay with that. It's next chapter we need to have 4 decimal places. So this is okay with 4. Or with 3.
So when
Okay. What's that?
what do we put for?
4 decimal places? Next chapter. Okay. Quick problem 3. Lauren, go ahead and read.
Given that there is a 0.85 probability that any given adult knows a Twitter, use the binomial probability formula to find the probability of getting exactly 3 adults who know a Twitter when 5 adults are randomly selected.
Perfect. What's my N? What's my P? What's my X? What's my Q? 30 seconds with your neighbors. Go ahead, talk. Okay, typically, what's N always been for us? N stands for what? Number of items we have, right? So in this case, it's the number of people you sample, number of items you select, number of times you roll a dice, the number of trials. So keep that in mind what your N is. And then remember, little p has nothing to do with your problem. It has to do with, it's already out there in the world. Do you folks want just another minute with your neighbors? Yeah, one more minute with your neighbors.